Hi, everybody. Welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indy podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll of valleyindy.org. It's a nonprofit online newspaper covering Ansonia, Derby, in the town of Seymour. And I have some breaking Seymour news to share with you. As you may or may not remember, a few months back, the town announced that it had fallen victim to a cyber scam of some type that saw an unknown person or persons steal essentially $375,000 from the town bank accounts. We just received within the last 20 minutes a statement from Office of the First Select Woman, Anne Marie Dragonis, followed up by a press release from the police department announcing an arrest in the matter. Let me see if I can share that right now, and hopefully you can all hear me and all that good stuff. You can feel free to comment as I talk. Let me see. So here's the cybercrime arrest. I want to share that screen. Y'all can see what we just received. Personally, I did not think an arrest would be coming just based on how difficult it must be, because this sounded like sort of a Nigerian prince type scam where someone somewhere sent you something. Here we go. So on February 1st, 2023, following a lengthy and complex investigation by the Seymour Police Department Detective Bureau, with assistance from the Gaithersburg Police Department in Maryland, officers from both departments arrested the following individual for his theft of approximately $375,000 in funds from the town of Seymour. There is the gentleman's picture. He's just a suspect at this point. We should point out, hasn't had his literal day in court yet, nor any defense. His name is right there. He was charged with one count of first-degree larceny, which is a Class B felony. He was taken into custody in Maryland on an extraditable warrant issued by a judge in Milford Superior Court here in Connecticut. Court set bond on his warrant is $60,000. He's in custody in Maryland, will be extradited in Connecticut for prosecution. The investigation into the theft of funds is still active and ongoing at this time. So that's that. That's from the chief of police, or the police department sent out that information. And we had John Duke, who I believe he says excellent detective work by the police department up there, and the FBI, I guess, was involved in this investigation as well. Just before that, bear with me, there's obviously no script here. The Office of the First Select Woman sent out a statement as well, which I'll read to you. Okay, here it is. Don't look at my private messages. I'm going to skim over this. Obviously, you can see this if you go to the Office of the First Select Woman page of Seymour, Connecticut. This was from 32 minutes ago. It's 11:38 on whatever day. February 1st. We're pleased to report that an arrest has been made in connection with the cybercrime that resulted in Seymour being defrauded of $375,000. Suspect is in custody. Additional information can be released. Please understand that until the prosecution is complete, we're unable to release and discuss information to avoid jeopardizing prosecution. I mean, one thing to keep in mind here is that the town is essentially a witness. They're the victim of this crime. They're keeping things secret to protect the town from a further attack. Can't discuss employee discipline until the employees involved have provided their due process. I wonder if that means there is someone who's, one of the questions here is, how did Seymour fall for this? That hasn't been explained in full yet. Warrants are public documents, by the way. The state changed the law, so we have put in a request to see the warrant. We wouldn't share things that could damage or anything that is redacted, but warrants are public information in the state of Connecticut. By way of background, town staff had become aware during routine account reconciliation that fraudulent wire requests had been received and executed. It was discovered that an employee of the Board of Education, which maintains its own finance department, had their work credentials compromised, possibly through phishing. That's new information. We had previously reported something along those lines. That's the first public confirmation of that. Criminals were able to use these credentials to access this employee's email account and replicate the existing transfer request protocols exactly, resulting in the transfer of funds to the criminals. We have no reason to believe that the town's broader network was compromised at any point. In response to the learning of the fraudulent transactions, the town immediately modified both internal financial controls as well as expedited the implementation of additional IT security precautions, which were already underway to ensure that this type of attack could not be replicated. So there's the whole thing that was posted on the Town of Seymour Office of the First Select Woman Facebook page. I won't go into the whole thing. From what I understand, yeah, someone sent an email that was, and someone must have clicked a link, and that allowed the suspect or whoever committed this crime to then pose as that employee essentially, and to make requests to have money transferred. And it looked completely as if it were coming from the employee, from what I heard. That was also, let me see if I can go back to one of our original stories. So back in November, we had reported that the Seymour Police Department and the FBI are investigating a cybercrime that swindled town government out of $375,000. We had previously reported that the town officials met with the police chief and their corporation counsel during an executive session back in October 18th to discuss attorney-client privilege communication. We later learned they were talking about this crime. And to give you an idea, I mean, the town also reported last week that they are confident they will be able to recover at least half of the money, because I believe it was Bank of America at some point had flagged one of the transactions and sort of put the money aside. So I should mention that. And the town also, I think, is working with its insurance company to see if more of this can be recouped. Town officials are saying at this point, they don't think it's going to have any impact on the budget. We had reported previously that the combined budgets in Seymour are $62.3 million. That's the school district and the town. So a loss of $375,000 is roughly comparable to the town's library budget of $373,000. We had previously reported that cyber attacks, I mean, one thing that's so bizarre in the internet age is that these towns are sort of ripe for the picking. Is that the right phrase? Thieves target, criminals target towns and small towns because often they're not dedicating untold sums of money to cybersecurity and things like that. The Vermont League of Cities and Towns, and this was one of probably dozens and dozens and dozens of municipal organizations around the United States that sent out alerts like this, but the Vermont League of Cities and Towns issued an alert in 2020 warning local governments specifically about scams originating from emails. Quote, in this scenario, the criminal scams an employee who willingly transfers funds or information in a transaction that the employee honestly believes is legitimate, according to the bulletin posted to the group's website. So that piece of information there seems to match up with what First Select Woman Anne Marie Dragonis reported on her Facebook page just about an hour ago. And then this bulletin also, is anybody asking any questions or anything like that? Oops, sorry. Jason Williams, Seymour cops. Well, I don't know about that, Jason. If that's your personal opinion. Okay, thank you for sharing that. But back to this. The bulletin that we reported on a few months ago reported that in a first scenario, a scammer researches what contracts are given to a town by going online and looking at meeting minutes. And then they pretend to be a vendor or contractor by spoofing the email of a trusted vendor. They'll just change like one letter and hopefully that it gets through like the copy editing skills of an employee. And that's one way to rip towns off. Another variation, according to this town organization, the Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, of the scheme involves the scammer getting money by, quote, impersonating a coworker or senior municipal official. Quote, for example, a person in finance may receive an email request from a criminal posing as a municipal manager, finance director, select board member, or other senior official who requests payroll and identification information on employees or demands prompt payment of a quote unquote vendor invoice. The message often has a tone of urgency, according to the bulletin. Is that exactly what happened here? No, I am never saying that. We've got some infighting going on in the chat about Jason. That's a rude comment. I hope you. Yeah. And let's stick to the I'm not going to share those comments exactly. We'll try to stick to the point here. I understand that everybody has opinions on everything, and I don't mean to, of course, temper those in any way. But as you can see, I'm a moron, and I can't read things on another subject while doing this. But again, if you're just joining me, Town of Seymour just released information announcing the arrest of what's about 49. He's about my age, of a Charles Ukasanya of Gaithersburg, Maryland, in connection to the theft of $375,000 in town funds from the town of Seymour. Jim Pepe, let's see what's going on here. Not a good 14 months for the BOE financial department with the that was the issue from last year. There's the office of the first select woman. There's a great job, Seymour Police Department. They caught them, plain and simple, good work. Yeah, I mean, I'm not supposed to share my opinion, but I'll just share with you because what the heck? I never thought there would be an arrest in this case. I just figured, especially because a lot of times these scams are perpetuated by people who live outside the borders of the United States, which makes it really difficult. You hear all the time about people setting up in whatever country, and they do these crimes, and there's really no way they're living and existing in a country that may not have an agreement with the United States to extradite people, but that's apparently not the case here. It will be interesting to read that warrant to sort of detail how this crime was allegedly solved, because of course the defendant gets his day in court, and maybe there are other defendants out there. Here is a repeat comment from Jim Pepe. Yeah, sometimes I think about Facebook. I hate, like, you want to hit enter to form a new paragraph, and it makes the comment live. Not a good 14 months for the Seymour Board of Education with the previous miscalculation of employee benefits and now this cyber theft. And there's a link to our coverage from last year on that. Live with Johnny. Everyone should check out. We have a local person who does a live stream show, a podcast, a YouTube page. Everyone check out Live with Johnny. Hopefully they get more of the scammers. Fine work, Seymour Police Department. Yeah, I guess just in terms of someone who has read a couple of warrants from the Seymour Police Department over the last year. I mean, well, going back to 2009, but the way the police department, and I'm not trying to kiss butt here, I'm just making, and this is a reaction to what I read when they caught the person responsible for that fatal hit and run that took the lives of two senior citizens from Shelton on Route 67. That's quite an incredible read as to basically they found a piece of broken glass from a headlight. And this is, I'm going off memory. And they were able to track that back to a car, to track down a person who was getting ready, according to police, to flee the country. I've never written there's a follow-up story where the person's brother was arrested. That even got more complicated in terms of the alleged cover-up. So there was that one. And there is this one that just happened, and there was some other sort of complicated Seymour crime. Seems like in the last year, if there's been a crime in Seymour, it's been complicated. Anne-Marie Drugonis, very proud of our detective division for all their hard work and dedication. I should have invited the first select woman in. I figured she was doing something else. Our small town has proved that if you do the crime, you will do the time. Way to go, Seymour Police Department. So I think that's it. I'm going to go try to write this up now as a story, but I just wanted to break into our regularly scheduled Facebook page and report that arrest has been made in connection to the $375,000 theft of money from the town of Seymour as the result of what sounds like an email phishing scam. I'm Eugene Driscoll. Go to valleyindy.org right now. I've posted a ton of public announcements, town news in the last 24 hours that I don't get a chance to send it all to Facebook. Also, Facebook hates it. The thing about Facebook is, all right, I won't get into all this. Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, no problem. The thing about Facebook is there was that bug bomb incident in the town of Seymour. And so I posted a video at the top of that story. So when it goes to Facebook, the video doesn't display. I don't know. That's IT stuff. That's well beyond my paycheck. And no one read it. So I posted it again this morning using a photo from firegroundimages.com. Thank you very much. And then people were able to see that story. So one of the challenges with Facebook is that they tend to not show community announcements to people. If something's burning or it's a bug bomb, okay, yes, that gets more attention. But it's one of the frustrating things that I'm running into, because then my traffic is spiked and then it's down, spiked and then it's down, spiked and then it's down. So it's hard to maintain readership on Facebook. That has nothing to do with anything. Talk to you all later. Thank you very much for taking a couple of minutes of your day.